I'm wondering to myself, okay, well, the Suns not too long ago seemed like they wanted an awful lot for Kevin Durant. So what did Houston pay to get him? They're sending away the number 10 overall pick in this year's draft and 5 more second round picks. Pick number 59 this year, 2 in 2026, 1 in 2030. That one belongs to Boston, and another in 2032. They also shipped off Dillon Brooks. Brooks was a key part of, I think, resetting the Rockets' culture under Ime Udoka. I do not think that without Brooks, things would have moved as quickly as they did as far as putting the Steven Silas era in the rearview mirror. We thank Brooks for his 2 years of service. And then as far as Jalen Green goes, look, we don't know what the guy's going to ultimately end up being. And I felt like a lot of people were out on Jalen Green, perhaps a little bit too out on Jalen Green in the wake of that dreadful 6 out of 7 game performance that he had against the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the playoffs. That could be a good player somewhere. I still think he's going to be, best case scenario, a sixth man on a contending basketball team. And that's all it took for the Rockets to get Kevin Durant, 37 years old, in the last year of a contract that will give him $54.7 million. Since this trade happened, he is immediately eligible for a new 2-year extension. Will that extension happen? I imagine it will, but that remains to be seen. I like this trade. And I challenge you to find a reason that this trade shouldn't have happened. It can't be age. I'm not allowing that one. It can't be injury concern. 5 second-round picks and the 10th pick, plus a guy in Jalen Green who's never been very consistent and honestly is a bit of the Silas era, and a Dillon Brooks. That's what it took. That's not that much. It looks like a lot because we're talking about 5 draft picks and a number 10 overall pick. And we're talking about 2 players. But this was a hell of a trade. And the Rockets, because they have done such a good job of restocking the pantry over the last couple of years, are very well positioned to withstand the losses of 2 very important players this past season, to bring in one who hopefully, when push comes to shove, is actually going to be able to consistently score. Because that's why the Rockets season ended early last year. You take a look at that Rockets-Warriors series, these guys could not create a shot to save their life. You know who's really good at creating shots? Kevin Durant, because he's 12 feet tall and can shoot. The ultimate, you cannot stop this man from shooting player in the league. Sure, you can put intensive defense on him and challenge him and all that jazz. It's very difficult to contest a Kevin Durant shot in the same way that you saw from time to time last night in Game 7 between the Thunder and Pacers. Someone like Chet Holmgren who's flying around, you know? Someone like that. That's pretty much the only person that could give Kevin Durant a run for his money when it comes to creating his own shot. So again, I ask, what is there? What possible excuse, what possible reason could there be to not have done this trade? Because now the Rockets are a Western Conference Finals contender, definitely. And they are, by proxy, a title contender as well. Are you going to put them on the same rung as the now champion Oklahoma City Thunder? No, you're not doing that yet. But they're closer. And then you take a look at the rest of the teams in the Western Conference that they're going to be jostling with for position these next couple of years. It's the Timberwolves. It's the Nuggets. Is it the Warriors still? It's an open Western Conference, and you got somebody who makes you better. So I think we're all in agreement. This was a good trade. The Rockets were patient. They waited. And this is also something that smells a whole lot like it's an Ime Udoka decision. Kevin Durant also played a hand here. There are multiple places that Durant could have gone to over the last calendar year. The Suns were trying to get him to Minnesota. He said no. The Suns were trying to get him to Golden State. He said no. But his relationship that he established with Ime Udoka during that season they had together in Brooklyn, and his relationship with his ex-college teammate, Royal Ivey, who is a Rockets assistant, makes me feel like this is an Ime Udoka and Kevin Durant joint kind of decision. Let's see what happens. And I got to say, I'm biased to this point, but if Ime Udoka is signing off on a decision right now, I'm in. I'm in. I'm not second guessing it right away. And I know some are going to do that. Oh, Durant's 37. Oh, he has had injuries. Oh, is he still as good as he used to be? Fair questions. But aren't the Rockets significantly better today? And they still have Amen Thompson. And they still have Alperen Şengün. And they still even have Tari Eason and Jabari Smith. I mean, they kept a lot of core pieces. Guys who, listen, maybe aren't the best, but they certainly do exactly what Ime Udoka wants. I don't know that Jalen Green necessarily did that. He could find that somewhere else, but the aggression, not always there. He did get better. He did start to buy in, defensively especially, but Jalen Green, to me, he is the embodiment of a past era of Rockets basketball, the Silas era. And fair or unfair, because I do think that Jalen Green was shaking some of those cobwebs off that all developed while Silas was running the show, and it felt like it was a very expensive daycare for a bunch of players that didn't really have a lot of pressure on them to be as best as they possibly could be. That is now completely in the past. This is a team that surprised a lot of people. They're not going to be surprising any people this coming season. So if you're not going to surprise anybody, add somebody that's going to make you more of a threat. And, with multiple different owners, this is an organization that has always gone for it, which I respect. They didn't tank that long with the James Harden fallout, but they didn't tank, period, before that. Outside of, if you want to say, the Yao Ming season. But 94, 95, I mean, they're pushing all their chips into the middle of the table. They're trading for Clyde Drexler in the middle of that run. Right afterwards, they go and get Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen. Did that work out? No, not so much. But this is a team that has always looked for that next piece. They were the only team that was actually trying to be competitive with Golden State during the Warriors super team era. And once again, they're pushing their chips towards the middle of the table and bringing in somebody that makes them better. And the best part is, it wasn't that expensive to get him. So I'm very happy about this trade. You want to chime in? 713-780-3776 to call to text. YouTube at ESPN Houston, Twitch at ESPN 975. Sean A. Mace behind the glass. Good trade.
Yeah, good trade. My first reaction when I saw the Shams tweet was like, wait, let me read that again.
Yeah.
Like, no Jabari Smith. Like, I was just kind of going through the checklist of like, no Jabari Smith, no Reed Shepherd, no Tari. Oh, okay. Okay, I can do this. I mean, yeah, you trade a guy in Jalen Green who he's more of the idea of Jalen Green is better than the actual guy that we've seen for his 4-year career so far. Like, you're trading a speculation piece, but when you're going to have to start paying $30 million a year for the next 2 or 3 years because he has a player option, and then a starter on your team that you're immediately going to improve on. If you want to say that Kevin Durant's replacing Dillon Brooks, like that's very easy to say. Yeah, I like that. I like that trade. The number 10 pick, not super valuable to the Rockets.
Not now.
Given that they didn't play the number 3 pick this year.
At all.
So I think it's two assets where Jalen Green and the number 10 pick were we could look back and say that this is the most value that these two assets will ever have is right now.
I think it's a very fair way of looking at it. And we'll see if Green can get better, but I do think that there's a ceiling that he's rather close to, at least as far as this version of him, where he is considered to be like a starting player that has to play every single game, fringe all-star kind of guy. I don't know that he gets that much better than this, even if, as the texter points out, he was the Rockets' best offensive player. Yeah, at times he could be. And at times he was awful. And at times he was looking scared out there. Is that fair? I don't know. He looked scared. That's what we all saw.
He was very easy to take out of a first-round playoff
And no one killed himself more afterwards than him.
Yeah.
He was reflective about it.
I don't think neither of us think that he's like a bad guy or
No.
like has like even like a bad like mentality. I think he has a pretty good like
I do
head
too.
on his shoulders as far as like being a professional basketball player.
He responded to tough coaching with Ime Udoka. Like actually responded to it. And I think that was a big question with the Stone era. And of course, Steven Silas, but it felt like Stone was trying to run everything. It felt like on the actual court, there was just a different expectation than there clearly is now about like, hey, the young guys, they're all that matters. Everything else we figure it out around them. And instead, with Udoka, that has changed. It's why I buy into Udoka. Green, to his credit, actually adapted to it where someone like a Kevin Porter Jr. was never going to be able to, you know? Sean Mapes is behind the glass. I'm Paul Gallant. We're going to be talking about this all afternoon. 713-780-3776 to call to text. YouTube at ESPN Houston. Twitch at ESPN 975. We'll talk a little finals. We'll talk a little bit about what the Astros have been doing. But Kevin Durant is a Houston Rocket, and I want to hear from you. We like to hear all sides of debate. You're going to mention age. You're going to mention injury concerns. Is that enough to push back against this trade? Is that enough to second guess this trade?